Hey friends, welcome back to the Bald Booktuber. My name is Scott. We are going to wrap up the month of August. So August was really good. I had a lot of rereads, so that definitely added to it, but I loved most of what I read. There was one glaring exception, but we'll get into that. As we always do, we'll go from least to most favorite, which will be book of the month. And overall, I'll just talk a little bit about some of the stuff that went on the channel during that time as well, as we go. So let's jump into it. So the only book I didn't enjoy during the month was actually from Stephen King himself. This is Wind Through the Keyhole. This is considered Dark Tower 4.5. It takes place between book 4 and book 5. And I had waited until the very end of the read-along to read it. You can read it between 4 and 5 or anytime after that. I read it, of course, publication order always. There are a lot of people that really love this book, and that is fantastic. I did not enjoy it. So we kind of start off with our members of the quartet right at the end of Wizard and Glass. They get caught up in a storm, and Roland says, well, let me tell you a story. And I'm like, we've been here before. This is all right. We did this in Wizard and Glass. Maybe young Roland will pop in. So that'd be cool. Maybe we'll get to see Elaine and Cuthbert, some other friends along the way. Instead, we got Stephen reminding us that those guys will not be in the story, and we're going to meet a new character named Jamie. All right, that's fine. And then we get into it, and then it's time to tell a story within that story. And then things got a little strange for me. So we follow then a character named Tim, who apparently is important to the Dark Tower mythos, but didn't interest me. So I didn't care for that middle story very much. We eventually get back to young Roland and wrap that up, and that was fine. But overall, it didn't add really anything, in my opinion, to the Dark Tower, and I could have used some adding. So that bummed me out, but what are you going to do? So overall, 2 Stanley nods. I didn't like it. If you do that, that's fantastic. Just wasn't my thing. The next thing was 3 Stanley nods, and this was a library hold from Libby. It was an audiobook. It's called Give and Take by Adam Grant. This is now the 3rd Adam Grant book that I've read. They're all nonfiction. I'll talk about the other one later on. This was good. It talked about reciprocity styles. So it kind of placed people into 3 categories of people. There are the givers that put the needs of others before their own. There are the matchers that will do kind of a favor for a favor type of thing. And then there are the takers, which put their own self-interest always at the forefront, regardless of consequences. It kind of, talked a little too much about the same things for my taste. It kind of beats you over the head with the value of generosity and these kinds of things. And, these are not new suggestions. So I don't know that a lot of new ground was covered. But it was well written. It was well researched. So I gave it 3. It was okay. Next up, I talked about this one in the mid-month. This was Is This Anything by Jerry Seinfeld. This was 4 Stanley nods. Again, if you saw that video, you know this was just Jerry telling his jokes in his own way, which I enjoyed. But I don't think is going to be for everybody. So you have to really be a Seinfeld fanatic like I am to appreciate it. That was also a library loan from Libby. Next up was a book I quite enjoyed. This was another Libby library hold. This was Adam Grant, Think Again. And this was the second Adam Grant book I had read. Obviously, the third one we mentioned earlier. I talked about this a little bit in my mid-month, but I very much enjoy this book. I would highly encourage others to pick it up and check it out. It has a lot to do with challenging assumptions, making sure that we are not getting caught in the same perpetual loops with our mindsets and being able to see things from other perspectives. Quite good. It was narrated by the author himself, and I thought his narration was very good. I think in general, there is a tendency, and I'm sure I fall into this as well, to just have the bias towards this is what I believe, this is what I know, and never going back and thinking through different ways to look at things, different ways to see the world, that kind of stuff. So very good. Would highly encourage you to check it out. The next one, and everything from here on out, is all 5 Stanley nods. So really strong month, with very little fat to it. So this was the Legend of Blackjack. Again, I have a dedicated review of this. I want everybody in the world to read this book. It's just fantastic. It helped me recapture the magic of stories like Narnia, which I haven't revisited in many years and need to. AR, or Andy Witham, is a fantastic guy. I will actually be buddy reading the new Stephen King book with him. He's a Stephen King fanatic, so I'll talk about that in the September plans video. But yeah, just a cool guy. I want him to, blow everything out of the water with sales and with people getting into the book. I can't say enough good things about it. It's wonderful and fantastic. Please check out my review. Next up, we had another reread, or I guess the first of a few rereads. This was A Night of Seven Kingdoms by Mr. George R.R. Martin, one of my favorite living authors. This is the Dunk and Egg novellas bound in one volume. I did it on audio. They were rereads. I read them the first time around. The narration was done by Harry Lloyd, who plays Viserys in the first season of the show. And he did fine. The narration was okay. But overall, the stories themselves, fantastic. I think some of George's best writing, which is saying something. So, really good. Next up, we did 2 books in the Sun Eater universe. Let me hold them up for you. We got these 2 big boys. On my left, Empire of Silence, which is book 1. On my right, Howling Dark, book 2. I love both. I was going back through my Goodreads, and apparently I only rated them 4 Stanley nods the first time around, so I don't know what I was doing, but they both earned the 5th star on this reread. I read those last year only. Must have been last year. I'm reading back through the series in preparation for Ashes of Man, which officially releases on December 23rd? No. I used to know the date that it was. I don't need to know the date anymore because I received an advanced reader copy. So I have that sitting on my Kindle waiting to be read. But I wanted to commit to the reread and get that done first. So 2 down with 2 to go, and then I'll be able to jump into book 5 after I've reread those. Sun Eater, man, like what is there to say? You need to read it. And then my book of the month, this is book 4 of the Matthew Corbett mystery series. I've loved every entry so far. This one delved a little bit deeper into the criminal world of England back in the 18th century. Professor Fell is a sort of Professor Moriarty type of character, if you're familiar with Sherlock Holmes. So seeing his kind of criminal organization and how it was run was very cool, and any chance to spend more time with Matthew Corbett's all right with me. So I had a great time. Yeah, I will be continuing on through the rest of the year with a Corbett book each month, having a great time along the way. Should be mentioned with the, just jumping back real quick, with the Sign of Your books, those are narrated by Samuel Roken, one of my favorite narrators on the planet. I did those immersively. The Corbett series is narrated by Eduardo Ballerini, quickly becoming one of my favorite narrators on the planet. I did that immersively. So really, really strong stuff overall. From a stats perspective, my average Stanley Nod rating was 4, which is not surprising with all the 5s in there. I read 4,104 pages. That is 456 pages per book, because there were 9 books, and that's 132 pages per day. So pretty productive month overall, which is good. Also, just some of the odds and ends from the month that I got to participate in. I was invited on to Madison's channel. I'll have a link to that video. She started a series called Getting to Know You, and it was myself and A.R. Witham, who I mentioned earlier, the author of The Legend of Blackjack. We had a great time, just sort of a small chat. I think we were on it for an hour 15, hour 20, something like that. Just talking, getting to know Andy a little bit. Yeah, it was a good time. I also, on my channel, and hopefully you saw this video or you will watch it, I got to have my good friend and wonderful author, Christopher Rocchio, the author of the Sun Eater series, came onto my channel and gave his top 10 fantasy stories. So that was wonderful. I'll have that video linked as well. And then we've had 2 episodes thus far of Throne Zone, which is myself, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, and Madison from Madison Goodyear, the same Madison mentioned earlier, talking House of the Dragon, the new show on HBO, adapting Fire and Blood, this guy right here. So that has been fantastic. Lots of very cool collaborations and getting a chance to spend some time with some people that I like a lot. So overall, a really nice month. Beyond that, the channel is getting near 450 subscribers, so I appreciate you all very, very much. I am hopefully working my way towards 500. That is my goal by the end of the year. At 500, I'll get a community tab and get to interact with everyone a little bit more. So that is my goal. So if you are joining us for the first time, I would very much appreciate a subscribe. Tell your friends. And beyond that, I hope everybody is having a wonderful month of now past month of August, and we'll have a great September with their reading and everything else. As always, publication order always my